7,500.
I'll give you 6 grand.
7,500.
6 grand. A retail value of somewhere between $9,000 and $16,000.
Onyx, diamond, authentic spectacles.
Every once in a while, a piece of jewelry appears on the Pawn Stars counter that instantly changes the stakes. When diamonds are involved, even the smallest detail, cut clarity, carat weight, or origin can send the value skyrocketing or crashing. From massive diamond rings to rare gemstone pieces worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, these are the deals that triggered some of the most shocking high appraisals ever seen on Pawn Stars. And now, let's move on to the first deal. Are you ready to hear the shocking price of the very first item? This time, the man walking into the shop is carrying a massive pink gemstone, something he claims is a family heirloom that has been passed down through generations. According to the seller, the stone is Kunzite, a rare gemstone known for its distinctive pink to violet color. But Rick has been in this business long enough to understand one thing when an item comes with a story that sounds almost too perfect. Sometimes the story itself is the first thing that needs to be verified.
Hey, V, what's up?
I need some money.
Okay.
Got a family heirloom. Let's check that out. It's a Kunzite.
A Kunzite.
Kunzite.
You sure it's just not a fancy piece of glass?
It's been in my family for generations and generations.
Right at that moment, Rick points out a detail that immediately puts the story into question. Kunzite is actually a relatively young gemstone in the history of gemology. It was first identified in the early 20th century and named after the famous mineralogist George Frederick Kunz. That doesn't necessarily mean the stone is fake, but it certainly gives Rick a reason to proceed carefully. And when an item potentially worth thousands of dollars is sitting on the counter, caution is usually the smartest move.
All right, do you know anything about it?
Yeah, I guess it's an evening stone or something.
Yeah, the reason they call it an evening stone is because Kunzite can actually fade in sunlight, so it's jewelry you're supposed to wear in the evening. They're really rare.
More money to change.
I'm gonna have Jeff, my gemologist, check it out.
Well, you don't trust me? You don't think it's real?
With gemstones, appearances can sometimes be deceptive. Glass synthetic crystals and natural stones can look remarkably similar to the naked eye. So Rick calls in Jeff, the gem expert he trusts, to take a closer look at this enormous pink stone using proper testing equipment.
Well, that'd be cool. Let's do some tests. When Rick walked into my office, I was pretty excited because I don't always see Kunzite, let alone of one of this size. All stones have clarity characteristics which can help identify them. If it's glass, most likely there's going to be air bubbles. And so what I can see in here are inclusions that tell me that this is natural.
Under the microscope, Jeff begins searching for tiny features inside the stone natural inclusions formed during the crystal's growth. If the stone were simply glass, he would most likely see small air bubbles instead. But what he sees are natural characteristics typical of genuine gemstones. It's a promising sign, though not a final answer yet.
This is a refractive index machine, and it measures the way light goes through the stone. And from that, we can tell if this is a natural Kunzite or if it's something else.
The most important step now is measuring the refractive index, a test that determines how light travels through the gemstone. Each type of gem has its own optical signature, almost like a fingerprint. If the reading matches Kunzite, then this enormous pink stone could indeed be worth thousands of dollars.
And as I can see through here, it has the right refractive index to be Kunzite. So yes, this is
A real Kunzite.
It is a natural Kunzite.
Ah, I told you it was real.
The massive pink gemstone turns out to be genuine. But once the authenticity question is answered, another question immediately takes center stage, one that everyone in the shop is now thinking about. How much is it actually worth?
Something of this nature, with this size and with this color, I'd probably estimate $30 to $50 a carat.
Okay, how many carats does it weigh?
323.8 carats.
So we're talking at $30 a carat, right at 9,600 bucks, right in that neighborhood?
Yeah, ballpark.
More than 320 carats, an impressive size for a Kunzite. However, in the gemstone market, size alone doesn't determine value. Clarity, color, and market demand all play important roles in setting the final price. Even so, this appraisal sets the stage for what is about to become a very interesting negotiation.
Well, it's real.
I feel it's worth 15 grand.
9,600 if I need one. I don't need one, okay?
It's big. It deserves big money.
I'll give you 5 grand. I'll give you 6 grand.
7,500.
6 grand.
65.
I mean, things like that.
You're winning. I was at 15 grand. Come on, Rick. Be a little bit more reasonable.
All right, 65.
All right.
In the end, the massive 320-carat Kunzite sells for $6,500, significantly lower than the seller's original expectation, but still a substantial deal for a gemstone of this size. After the episode aired, this deal quickly sparked lively discussion among Pawn Stars viewers. In the comment sections of videos about the transaction, some viewers argued that Rick was lowballing, offering a lower price to maximize his potential profit later. One comment even suggested that when Rick made his initial offer, the seller should have walked out of the shop immediately, reflecting the belief that the price was far too low for such a large gemstone. However, others pointed out that this strategy is fairly typical for pawn shops. Rick has to factor in the cost of mounting the stone, redesigning the jewelry, and the risk that the item might sit in inventory for a long time before it finally sells. So what do you think? Was Rick simply negotiating within normal business logic, or did he push the price down a little too aggressively for a rare Kunzite like this? Alright, and now let's move on to the next deal. You probably wouldn't expect who the expert called in for this appraisal turns out to be. One day, a man walked into the shop carrying a small box. Inside wasn't a massive diamond or a luxury watch. Instead, it was a pair of reading glasses. But according to the seller, these weren't just ordinary spectacles.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's happening?
I've got something here which I think is pretty spectacular.
A magnifying glass.
No, it's better than that. Bam! That is 18th century onyx diamond authentic spectacles.
Sweet.
A gemstone-studded pair of glasses, supposedly dating back to the 18th century. Just hearing that description alone was enough to catch Rick's attention. If the seller's claim were true, these spectacles could have been an extravagant luxury item, something only the wealthiest people in Europe centuries ago could have afforded.
I came to the pawn shop today to sell a very unique pair of glasses. I'd like to sell them because I have no use for them. What I'd like to get for them today would be up to $5,000. If I break even, I'll be happy.
$5,000 for a pair of antique glasses. It's a significant number, but if they were truly made from platinum and set with gemstones like diamonds and onyx, that price might not be unrealistic at all. Corey picked up the glasses and slowly turned them under the shop's lights, immediately realizing these weren't just an ordinary pair of spectacles.
Oh, where'd you get these?
I bought these about 10 years ago while I was visiting an antique store.
Mind if I take a look at them?
Absolutely.
God, are these platinum?
Platinum onyx with diamonds in them.
If the frame was really platinum and the stones were genuine, the raw materials alone could carry substantial value. But when it comes to antiques, the most important question is always the same: the true age of the item. And Rick knew there was one person in the shop who understood precious metals better than anyone.
You mind if I call my dad over here? He's just gonna give me a better idea of what they're worth.
Okay.
I'm gonna go grab them real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay, thank you.
For Rick, this was routine. But for the seller, it could be the moment that determined whether his glasses were worth thousands or far less. Just minutes later, Richard Harrison, known to fans as the Old Man, stepped up to the counter.
Okay. All right, what do we got here?
These are 18th century spectacles.
Okay.
The seller believed the glasses dated back to the 1700s, but after only a few seconds of examining them, the Old Man saw something very different.
They're probably 1920s, the whole Art Deco style. This was what was popular during the time period.
Not the 18th century. According to the Old Man, the glasses were likely from the 1920s, part of the Art Deco era, a design movement known for bold shapes and luxurious materials. And once the timeline changed, the value changed too.
Got probably 10 grams of platinum there and some very inexpensive stones. And you can't exactly wear these around your neck.
So what do you think they're worth?
$700 or $800.
From an expected $5,000, the value of the glasses suddenly dropped to around $700 to $800. The gap was huge, and the seller couldn't hide his disappointment.
When he brought out his dad and told me they were worth $700 to $800, I was a little bit disappointed. I honestly thought they were more valuable than that.
But the negotiation wasn't over yet. Rick explained the dilemma with items like these. If you break them apart, the platinum and stones have clear value. But as a finished collectible, the market becomes much smaller.
These things look really cool and Art Deco, but spectacles aren't used by a lot of people today, so they're basically worth the raw materials.
Rick wasn't eager to pay more for something that might be difficult to resell. But at that moment, Corey saw the situation differently.
How much were you looking to get?
Give me $850. I'll leave a happy man.
$850, just slightly above the old man's appraisal. Rick was still thinking it over, but Corey had almost made up his mind.
I'll give you the 850.
Good man.
All
Cheers. Thanks.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I'm sure.
The deal was sealed right there at the counter. An Art Deco pair of gemstone set glasses sold for $850. But for Corey, the story didn't end there.
My dad knows a lot about diamonds and precious metals, but what he doesn't know is how hot vintage jewelry is right now. If I'm going to prove I deserve a piece of this company, I'm willing to take risks like this to show I know what I'm doing, even if it does piss my dad off.
After the episode aired, the deal quickly sparked discussion among Pawn Stars viewers. Many were surprised that Rick, usually the one making the offers, was effectively brought in as the expert in this appraisal. Online comments even joked that Corey had called in a specialist, famous for lowball offers. In the end, the glasses sold for $850, far below the seller's original $5,000 expectation. So what do you think? Was Rick being realistic about the value, or did the seller simply overestimate what those vintage spectacles were really worth? And now we arrive at the final deal of the episode, and the item waiting for us might just deliver an appraisal shocking enough to leave you stunned. On what seemed like an ordinary day at the gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas, a man approached the counter carrying a rather solemn-looking antique ring. But according to him, this wasn't just any piece of jewelry. He believed it could be a ring once worn by a Catholic cardinal in the 19th century, an object tied to religious authority history and the ceremonial traditions of the Vatican. And if that story were true, the value of the ring could be far beyond what Rick Harrison usually sees on the pawn counter.
I have a Cardinals ring I'd like to sell you.
Baseball or football?
Neither. This kind.
Oh, this guy.
That's right.
I think I did that right.
I came to the pawn shop today to try to sell my 19th century Cardinals ring. I recently acquired it from a friend of mine. It's not anything I'd ever wear, and I'd rather have the money. My bottom dollar is $6,300.
$6,300, that's the price the seller believes the ring deserves. To support his claim, he says it may have been made by Fromont Maurice, a renowned French jewelry house known for crafting pieces for European royalty, with works now displayed in the Louvre. If the ring truly belonged to a cardinal, its historical significance could outweigh the value of the gold and gemstones. But Rick knows that in the antiques world, the story behind an item is often the first thing that must be verified.
Why do you think it's a Cardinals ring?
One of the gemologists that I took it to do some research on it indicated that it had to be some type of religious icon.
Cardinals? I know there's over 100 of them.
For Rick, that explanation isn't quite convincing enough. If this truly were a cardinal's ring, one presented by the Pope himself, it would almost certainly carry clear symbols of Vatican authority. So Rick decides to do what he always does when a big historical claim is involved. He calls in an expert.
Let me go give someone a call. I'll get him down here, find out if it's a Cardinals ring, okay?
Sounds good, sir.
All right, I'll be right back.
The expert who arrives works within the Clark County Museum system and specializes in historical artifacts. As he begins explaining the long tradition of official rings within the Catholic Church, the conversation in the shop suddenly becomes much more serious.
Okay, the ring of office in the Catholic Church goes back to the 7th century AD when they started officially saying, this is how we're going to recognize your office. The Pope presents you with a ring. It's a big deal. If this is actually the ring worn by a cardinal, that's an unusual piece.
According to that tradition, when a cardinal is formally appointed, the Pope presents him with a ring, a symbol of religious authority and responsibility. And if this piece were truly an official ring of office, it would carry unmistakable symbols of the Vatican.
In the 19th century, any ring coming from the Pope would have most likely the crossed keys of St. Peter's on it.
The crossed keys of St. Peter, the unmistakable emblem of papal authority. If that symbol appeared on the ring, the seller might actually be holding an extremely rare artifact. But when the expert takes a closer look,
unfortunately, that's all you see. There is no other symbology of the Pope on this ring. So It is probably not a ring of office.
With that single statement, the historical value of the ring collapses almost instantly. It isn't a Cardinals official ring, it wasn't presented by the Pope, instead it appears to be simply an antique ring with a religious design. Still, Rick isn't finished yet.
Before I make an offer, I want to go test the stones, look at them underneath a microscope.
If the historical story doesn't hold up, the material value might still matter. So Rick has the gemstones examined.
This is a hessonite groschlerite garnet.
It's a garnet.
Yes, orange garnet.
That's what they call an orange garnet? As a heschelite.
Hessonite. Most of them. They have different varieties and species.
Emeralds on the side, right?
Yes.
The center stone turns out to be an orange hessonite garnet, while the two smaller stones on the sides are emeralds. A solid antique ring certainly, but not the kind of extraordinary treasure the seller had hoped for. And now the real negotiation begins.
Just so you know, my jeweler's in the back can make this ring for under $1,000. But we do have the manufacturer.
And shoot me an offer.
$1,500.
$1,500, only a fraction of the seller's original expectation.
The best I can do is $2,000, period.
$2,000 Rick's final offer, a significant drop from the $6,300 the seller initially hoped to receive. But after a brief pause,
You got a deal.
Apparently you're blessed.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'll meet you right up there.
and just like that, the deal is done. The ring that was believed to belong to a cardinal ultimately sells for $2,000.
And there's a lot less than what I was trying to get, but it's better than nothing, and I'm happy with it.
Sometimes on Pawn Stars, an item's value isn't determined by its gold gemstones or craftsmanship, but by the story behind it. When that story can't be proven, the value can shift dramatically. After the episode aired, the Cardinal Ring deal sparked debate among viewers. Some felt the final price was low compared with the seller's expectations, especially given the possible link to the prestigious jeweler Fromont Maurice, whose works are associated with European aristocracy and displayed in the Louvre. Others argued that when an antique's history is uncertain, consulting multiple independent experts before selling is the wiser move. So what do you think? If you owned an antique ring like this, would you sell it immediately or look for more appraisals first? And that's it for today's episode, featuring some of the most surprising diamond and gemstone deals ever seen on Pawn Stars. From a massive 320-carat Kunzite to vintage gemstone spectacles and a ring believed to be linked to a Catholic cardinal, each item showed how a story can dramatically raise or suddenly collapse an item's value. Now we want to hear from you. Which deal shocked you the most? Was Rick negotiating fairly or pushing the price too low? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more shocking Pawn Stars deals.